What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Crowd Assist Podcast. It is Dolphins week, the first one of the year. Your friend Jake with my pal over here. Oh, wrong side, as always, the wrong side. Slick, how we doing tonight?
Fabulous, man. Excited to talk some Bills. Short week between the two games.
Short week.
Really looking forward to it because, this might be our best test yet, and it's a divisional rival. So never thought I'd say that in the past 5 years, but here we are.
Are you feeling that? Are you feeling the effects from the short week yourself right now?
Yeah, a little bit. In a way, yes. But given that it's the first one, not so much. I'm not sure how many we might have if we do have more short weeks this season, but
couple, yeah.
It helps that we've started the season without a Sunday with Bills football. The first two Sundays being Bills less was it was very stress-free for me. Like
this Sunday is going to be strange.
Yes.
I feel like I was like a pig in shit, literally just watching all this red zone, flipping between all these games. And Sunday I'm going to be sitting I'll have red zone on, but I won't be looking at red zone at all. Just be tensed up.
Of course. The past 2 Sundays we've could care less. Maybe we have a couple bets locked in though. So we're tuning in game to game to game. This Sunday, 1:00, we're gonna be locked in, and it's gonna feel different. Even though we're used to it every year, the past 2 games we've had prime time. So
I know we're
it's
spoiled.
Sunday where we really get in the groove of things and squish the fish, hopefully.
Yeah, I will say, if you ask any family member of mine, I complained about the Bills' lack of primetime TV games my entire childhood, basically. So I'm not going to complain about it per se, but I will say the Monday night does get you because it's like an extra day of the weekend for me, at least. I tried to get stuff done on Monday, but my mind was just thinking about, and especially here, watch it in Chicago, my first Monday night football experience for the Bills. And it was at 7:00 instead of 8:00.
Right.
So that should start at 6:15. So I got off of work, I did the Proud Assist pregame show, and then it was game time. There was no build up, no nothing. Yeah. Which was great, in a way, but also it's
right. See,
it's on the corner.
Yeah, I was just dwelling all day on the end result, and it turned out to be a great one, so it was well worth the wait. But yeah, primetime games.
We're gonna get into the. It's not something I want to take for granted because we've wanted them for so long, and that atmosphere looked incredible. It looked so amazing just to even see it on TV. So I can't imagine what it was like there. But let's get to our sponsors. We'll get into our Bills Titans stuff in a second. We are sponsored, obviously, by Outlet Liquor, your place to buy a case, our wonderful sponsor on this podcast. I'm sure Outlet Liquor had a wonderful weekend and a Monday with the Bills game. The way it looked on TV, at least, it was great that ESPN did a little whatever TV setup, like College Game Day. That's what I was looking for outside of tailgates for people to just see to see it on ESPN. It was you know what? It's a weird phenomenon, just weird to see it, but it did give a pretty good taste of what it's like there. They had, their funnel shots and everything else. I'm this is hilarious. It was just so funny to watch. Had the bowling ball. They did Pinto Ron. They're hitting all the hits. And it's just
I loved how they were reacting to Pinto Ron. They were what is even going on right here? Why is this the tradition?
It's a great. I still ask it a lot too, but it happens.
Yeah,
it just happens.
No one questions it. So.
We are also sponsored by Picasso's Pizza, the best pizza in Buffalo. I've been waiting for Slick to send me a pizza to Chicago for months. Still waiting on my Picasso's.
It's coming.
It's coming though. See, but this is the thing is I got people all over sending me the Picasso's because I can't get enough. All the toppings, everything you can get, just send them my way. If you need my address, hit my DMs. I will gladly take a Picasso's pizza. I'll get paid in Picasso's pizzas for this podcast. That's all I ask.
Give them a
I
break.
don't ask a lot.
Deep dish.
I can't do Joe. It's once every 2 months you can do deep dish. I think
it's a tough
so
task.
Much.
Yeah,
it makes you not want pizza for a while after. You're I just ate so much pizza that I can't do it. I've never felt that way about Picasso's. Never felt like it was too much.
Absolutely not. Every night is pizza night with Picasso's.
And we are also sponsored by Fans of Buffalo. I know Fans of Buffalo. I saw the pictures. They're on their way down there right now into Miami. Best way to travel. 2 planes full. The best way to travel to get to any Bills Road game, whether you're alone with a group. You can book flights. Obviously, we just talked about hotels. There's parties. Anything you need. fansofbuffalo.com are great sponsors of this podcast. And all right, Slick, I'm going to keep it pretty simple for Bills Titans because that game was like more like a fever dream than anything else. Like just, and the thing about it is, like, it wasn't anything that I didn't expect. Like, I didn't know how to like put that into terms of anything. I was trying to write it, trying to think about what I was going to say for it. There's no way I could put it because we've never dealt with something as severe as that was, but just like the amount of hype that was going into that game, like just around, not even around the game itself, but just the team, seeing how they would answer the thing. And then they blew it out of, like, the starters were out in the third quarter. That doesn't, I've never seen the Bills have their starting quarterback out in the third quarter unless they were down by like 40-7 in my lifetime. There was a lot of surrealness going on, but how did you feel watching, just from a fan perspective or just from an actual team perspective? What was your biggest observation?
Obviously, I was on cloud 9 pretty much for that whole game. Team perspective, the injuries worried me a little bit. You know, it could have been a cleaner game. We could have gotten out of there with a little more unscathed than we did. It's the only thing that I'll hang my hat on, you know. But it's not like we don't have a deep roster. So does it worry me? Not so much for our upcoming schedule, more so for the guys' sake. You know, I want our team to be healthy. I want everyone to have a great season. But yeah, you said it best. It was a fever dream. And the one thing I will say, and this might sound contradicting, I wish the Titans played a little bit better. Here's why. Because not enough people are talking about how good we are.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people in the timeline that are neutral to that game talking about how much Tannehill sucks, how the Titans looked offbeat, Derrick Henry couldn't run the ball. Like, no, our defense was just locking down. They got the scheme after the first quarter, shut down King Henry, and gave Tannehill hell all night. And he couldn't get a pass on target. And we weren't, I think, we blitzed like 3 times this year, and he was under pressure the whole game.
Yep.
I just think people need to give credit where it's due. This is a championship-made roster, and that's what it's looked like thus far. I mean, the best team in the NFC from last year and a top AFC team from last year, in 2 games, you've allowed 17 points combined. That's phenomenal. And northward of 70 points yourself, you've scored. So, especially against a Rams defense that has the best player in the NFL, arguably, on it. So, you know, I feel really good coming out of that game. I want our players to stay healthy, but this week is the test. This is what everyone wants to see. So we're going to do it. And hopefully, you know, after this week, we get our credit where it's due.
See, me and you are the opposites because I love not hearing about it at this point. My whole life, I wanted the Bills to be like reading all my national articles, reading, you know, whoever, Peter King, Bill Simmons. I was just waiting for the little like good Bills thing that happened. Even the bad stuff, I was like, sure, whatever. But definitely like the runs on the good runs, like during the seasons that they've had that we've all know about, the Fitzpatrick times and everything else, like was just waiting to be like, oh, how legit do they think they are and everything. Now I'm like, you know what? You want to talk about? I think Al mentioned it the other day on Training Tonight. Like, oh, the Eagles were on the first 11 minutes of Get Up in the morning or whatever. They were talking about the Eagles. It's like I'm cool with that, honestly, at this point, because we Bills fans, I think, have known since honestly the first year in the playoffs, going into the Texans playoff game, and obviously, I think there were still going to be Josh Allen doubters. coming out of that. And obviously after how the game actually went, there were doubters for many different reasons.
And by the way, how times have changed.
How times have how times have changed is definitely a good way to put that, especially just from that game to now. But I think that the point I'm getting to here is, if you were really watching that whole 10-6 season and the flashes of Josh Allen and listening to like everybody around him saying that he's going to work on all these things, improving on all the things they ask him to improve on, all that stuff. This team, I mean, there was a stat for it. They've won their last 20 games that they've won by double digits. Last 20 games that they have won in the regular season, I should say. Well, no, I think it's actually 20 games. The last 20 games that they have won. Yes, it would have to be regular season. Last 20 regular season games, they have won by double digits. They lost 6 games last year. They were all by 1 possession. They didn't lose a double-digit game last year. Mm-hmm. This team has basically been losing. The only game they've lost in the last year and a half has been a 1-possession game. And then every other game, they're blowing teams out. Yeah. And it's like, that's just like, so that's why like it was expected for me. Like I had no worries about the Titans, especially seeing them week 1 and seeing them not be able to run the ball on the Giants. I was like, okay, well, if the Bills play anything like they played against the Rams, like they're not going to be, I was very confident going into that game. Should have just, railed that -10. And I got scared of the big number, whatever else. We won't talk about that, but there really isn't. They're the team looking like when you watch Red Zone, I feel like I'm picking apart all these teams now, but it's really like they're not bad. They're just not as deep as the Bills, and that's a point that I've never experienced in my life. But I felt it about other teams in the league, like the Packers at times, the Patriots at times. These teams that have been atop. And I asked one of my good Patriots friends, I was like, listen, someone said, I think it was Greg on that same podcast, was like, we are now like where the team is too good, the Patriots are too good, whatever. I think this is coming from that. And I texted him and was like, yo, is that like, I was like, I feel like that's crazy. He was like, no. He's like, it's not crazy. It's too easy. I was like, okay, well, this is really weird territory to be in then.
Definitely, it's unheard of. To be put in a position where Patriots fans are scared of playing us, I never thought.
Yeah, imagine that. That.
It's great. I'm not complaining one bit, but it's like you said, it's unfamiliar territory. We don't know our bounds all the time at every given moment. So, but we enjoy the ride.
We do enjoy the ride. Well, let's look to next week then, because
big game.
Is it a big game? It's a big game for them. It's a big game for the other guys.
And that's why I think it is a big game. Because, and like Josh takes everything with a little bit of grain of salt. He's one of those guys that's going to be looking to prove not doubters. He's going to be just looking to prove some people wrong. Like, that they're not all that. I think Josh is looking for a statement in this game. And, yeah, if it's anything like the past 2 weeks, do we think the Dolphins are Rams caliber? And do we know what the Rams caliber is from last season compared to this? I would argue that we just absolutely annihilated the Rams and made things tough for them, just like we did the Titans. I don't think the Rams are a bad team. But
no, they're not.
I also don't think we're the Ravens, So it'll be interesting to see how the Dolphins react to our defensive pressure right away. We have taken a quarter or 2 in these couple games to really get firing on all cylinders. But I think the Dolphins will also start a bit slow in this game, given our defensive pressure. The real question is the deep threats, I think. It depends what our depth is like at the cornerback position this week. I think it's still there. But who's going to play and whatnot? And obviously, you got a deep ball threat in Tyreek with Tua. Everyone's making all this hoopla about Tua. We'll see,
Yeah, Tua. The Tua thing that's a whole other side of the conversation for me.
I don't want to go on it too much.
Because, well, I feel like I've been pretty consistent throughout not even throughout the summer. Whenever Tyreek Hill got traded to the Dolphins, I was like, okay, Tua is going to look awesome this year at times, because having those two on the field is it's going to be unfair. Like, it felt pretty easy, and everybody was like, oh, but who knows what Tua is going to look like. It's like, not like Tua is like a bum. Like, it's not like he was like can't hit the blind side of a like broadside of a barn throwing the ball. Like, he had things that you could like work with, and having those two guys, like, I would take any day of the week if you told me my two receivers are Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I would sign up for that I think it's probably the best duo in the league. It will be by the end of the year. And that's just because Tyreek obviously we already know about him, but was super high on Waddle coming out of Alabama as well, just because, and it's because of the same kind of speed. That was all the things you heard about Waddle coming out, was how fast he was going to be. He can be like Tyreek, and just go look up some college Jalen Waddle highlights if you really aren't familiar with it, because you just see him running away from guys in the SEC, not just FCS schools, like Jalen Waddle in SEC title games running away from people. So it was always going to look better for them. And that's why I don't think, everybody's showing last year's 35-0 score, and Josh he really didn't have a good game that day. It was not it was the defense, which, as you mentioned, could have a good day today, or is going to be the key to getting pressure on Tua and everything in there. But it was the defense that did it last year too. So I think this team has a much higher ceiling as in the Dolphins going into this game. But man, like, they still were down 35-14, and it took like 3 blown coverages and, just a lot of mistakes on the Ravens end too for this game to work out the way it did. I don't think people, to what you were saying earlier, I don't think people have been blaming the Ravens enough for the Dolphins game.
I agree.
Yeah.
That was also a collapse. So people were writing 2 off by halftime. And then
I was. Dude, I already mentally cashed the Ravens money line bet that I had. It was so hurt.
And then the end of the game comes and you see the final result number and you're like, Tua, 6 TDs. Oh my gosh, he's a god. Like, no, I think you got to credit a lot of that with that Ravens collapse. They allowed them to get back in that game. But I still don't think they're a team to be taken for granted. They're a much better Dolphins team than they were last year. And but we're plenty better than we were last year. So
it's a measuring stick game for them.
Yes.
Not for us.
I agree.
That's how I feel.
I agree. So if you want to say, is it a big game for us? I think it is, but it's not a test for us. It's a test for them. I think it is a big game. It makes a statement one way or the other, but it might not, like you said, it's the measuring stick for them. So
yeah, I'm with that, because obviously it's an important game. It's a division game. Both these teams are to it. If the no matter what narrative spin out of it, if the Dolphins win, they have the tiebreaker over the Bills and are a game ahead of them in the division, which is the most important thing that we should be, considering this. That's what you want to handle, is your division first. That's what Sean McDermott would say if you asked him that question as well, and that's what I think every good coach in the league would say. So that's why it's important. But from the narrative standpoint, it does feel more like the Dolphins are coming into this looking to prove something. Their fans are looking to prove something. Like everybody, like they just have like a chip on their shoulder. But you know what the funny part is though, to bring it all back around to the Bills being the new Patriots of this team. I remember being Dolphins fans going into games that were hyped up against the Patriots. And being like, oh, like whatever, blah, blah, and just all the shit you could hear, and then you lose 38-3.
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, but they still have those guys that can do all of that, and that
could very well be the case here.
It's as likely as it is for me to think this is like a close game. I think it's like a 2-touchdown game. That's like where I'm at, like 31-17, 38-24.
Yeah.
But I'm leaning more towards it would be a blowout than it would be a closer game.
Definitely. Yeah, me too. It's hard not to with the caliber of teams we've beaten already. Super Bowl champions, 2-possession game cleared of that. This Dolphins team with some uncertainties and some question marks to it.
I just know Tyreek is going to have like a 68-yard catch and run touchdown, especially if there's 3 backups in the secondary, which you hinted at, and is something that is obviously a concern if you had 2 rookie starters and no Micah Hyde. And I mean, Jordan Poyer didn't practice today either, but I would assume that that's just more precautionary than anything else, because we didn't really hear anything about that. but it's not as much of the coverage. They're going to have the coverage figured out. Like they have a scheme that they want to do. I'm not worried about scheme. I'm more worried about when he gets open 15 yards down on a dig and then they have to tackle him in space. And then what do they do there? Like, Are they going to be able to tackle him? Are they going to be able to take the right angle? Like these two rookies who have never seen anything like Tyreek Hill on a football field. It's not as much about getting burned before the catch. It's burns like after the catch when he starts taking these angles that he knows he's going to beat you on, because we've been killed by that how many times? I mean, it happened to the best of them. There's so many touchdowns I can see from the last 3 Chiefs games in my head that looked like that. Yes. So that's what I'm worried about more than anything else. And Waddle as well, but way more Tyreek. Just seeing him in a Dolphins uniform against the Bills is going to be he's the Bills villain. It's not everybody wants it to be. I mean, it is Mahomes as much as anything else, but now Tyreek's on the Dolphins, man. Like he might have to be number 1.
I've never really had an irk with Mahomes. Like, I've always just been like, damn, this guy's good.
He's just the dude. Yeah, he's just.
But like Tyreek, oh man, pisses me off when he catches like a 13-yard slant in the middle of the field and then picks up an extra 25. You know, it's just like you were saying. He's good at making people miss. Once he gets those legs churning, it's all about the play after the catch for him. And yeah, that's something you really got to look for. The deep ball that was getting to him in the air last week, like we were talking about that Ravens collapse, you got to give partial to that with Ravens blowing the coverage on Tyreek. That's just a guy you can't blow coverage with. And I think if you're a defensive back, I've never understood this. And it was the same thing on one of the Diggs touchdowns the other night. How do you not, if you in your assumption, like if you have to make a split decision and you know it's Stephon Diggs who could be running past you, or you think the quarterback is going to throw somewhere else, I feel like you have to always go with Stephon. Like there's a certain amount of guys in the league that you always have to go with. Like if you think you have help but don't know for sure, you should just go with Tyreek Hill and hope that you catch up to him. You probably shouldn't hesitate to go to the other guy. Right. It's just like a thought. Like I feel like it seems simple and probably really hard to do in that moment. But a lot of those situations is dudes looking for picks and looking for big plays in the middle of the field that don't need to happen. So for sure. And a big part of that's backfield chemistry too. And
definitely.
Like I think we have that, and it's a matter of who we have, but hopefully the veterans in the backfield, put a little bit of that on to these younger guys. And like you were saying, help or not, even if you got your help back there and they throw the ball and your help is there on Tyreek when he catches that ball, he still might burn the help. So it's a really slippery slope with that dude. And, we'll see what we can do with it. And hopefully we can stop the yards after the catch too.
So what is your early game prediction then?
Yeah, I was thinking about this a lot before I came on the show. Because we've been at a pretty consistent number offensively. It's like, I can't remember the last time we didn't put up north of 20 points. I think we get a similar, not slow start this time. I think we gradually increase how we come out of the gate. But I think we get a slow start out of the Dolphins, defensive pressure-wise, from us. But, I think my lean here is oh, man, it's tough. I'm going to go 34-17. Double their points.
Okay. Keep them under 20.
Yes, I think that the offensive firepower that they have might be enough to one-up what these other teams have done, get another touchdown based on what previous teams we played have been able to do. But I don't think it will look close as it is, as the score might say. Even though it's double their points, letting up 17 might be to worry to some people. I think this will be it'll look a lot easier than the score might suggest. But I think, maybe garbage time touchdown for Tua and Tyreek somewhere down the line. That doesn't really matter. That puts an extra 7 on the board.
All right, I like that. That's about where I'm at. So we're pretty close. I got 38-23. I think that there's going to be more Dolphins points, especially if there's a banged up secondary. But 23 is like garbage time.
Yeah,
two field goals in there. I think 3 touchdowns total. Like you said, garbage time. It's going to be 38-17 or 38-16 before that, whatever, something like that. But I just don't see the Dolphins slowing down Josh Allen. No one's been able to do it for 4 games straight, and they've played a much better defense, I think, already this year in the Rams than what, and maybe not much better. The Dolphins have had a good defense, but what has he done against the Dolphins his whole career? And what have I seen, so far this year to not think he's going to do it again at this point? So I think 38, like they have to score 35 plus. I would be shocked if they don't.
Yeah, agreed. And like the Rams had a good defense, and look at how that turned out. So, like you said, who's going to stop Josh freaking Allen? It looks like an impossible tale right now.
It's impossible tale for sure.
And the 17-14 connection, dude. Just a second on that. It's too easy for those two.
Is it all part of the equation or what? It is. It definitely is. It all ties in.
The Bills make me wanna.
Sorry, had to do a run-in.
Right there. No, it's perfect timing. I said the soundbite without even trying. Like, there we go. 17-14 equals 6. It's too easy for those two right now. I mean, Stephon with 3 tutties? Are you kidding me?
And you want to know what hurts me, Slick? And this is why I need to think about what my actions sometimes when I do these things, because I just say stuff and then don't think about it afterwards. We were on this podcast Monday night, and one of my keys, my only offensive key to the game, was literally isolate Stephon Diggs, throw him the ball the whole time. That's what I said. And then you know what I didn't do? Place any amount of money on anything Stephon Diggs related. I literally said it on this podcast that is dedicated to Buffalo Bills football, and that did not put my money where my mouth was. And I didn't win. I picked Devin Singletary and Dawson Knox, who did not score touchdowns.
It's almost
and I didn't listen to Meerkat, who picked Reggie Gilliam. It was a very humbling experience for me on Monday night.
Shout out to Meerkat, by the way.
That was incredible.
An incredible hit. And it's almost like you saying that, like Ken Dorsey was watching the Cloud Assist podcast, because that's exactly what they fucking
did. Exactly what happened. He had 4 catches in the first quarter. I was like, this dude's going
right off to Stephon, let him run with the ball. It was incredible.
And they just couldn't. No one can cover him.
No, he's stiff-arming rookies out of his face. Welcome to the league, buddy. Oh, my gosh. Isn't
your favorite thing about Stephon Diggs that if he catches the ball and turns around, he is just going to lower his shoulder and try to move the dude 4 yards every time? It's without fail. He's just I'm going to turn into a running back quick and just run you through the he's how many first downs? He catches the ball at 8 yards, turns around, and is no, I'm going to shove this little corner for 2-3 yards and then score or get the first down. It's impressive. There's not a lot of receivers that do that. Usually those guys catch the ball and dip out of bounds and take your 2nd and 2s or whatever. Stephon Diggs never wants to settle for a 2nd and 2.
No, dude, our offense likes getting physical, man. I mean, these guys like Diggs, Knox, they all love running through contact.
Reggie Gilliam.
Yes. It's
Josh kind of had a hurdle.
Yeah.
It didn't get as much hype as the other hurdles.
I didn't want to call it a hurdle, but it was he almost did.
It was like a tumble.
It was like an arch, I don't even know how he did it, but yeah, it was.
I don't think he could replicate it if he ever tried to again.
No, he'd be able to do something prettier, but I don't know if he could replicate that. Yeah, it's tough too.
But he literally jumped over dude and then landed and had his hand on the ground and kept going. That was the most impressive part to me. He was like, I'm not even just going to fall to the ground. I'm going to get back up.
Every game, there's a point where I turn to the person next to me and I ask them, how is a dude that big capable of running that fast and doing things like that?
Watching him.
Pointing to the replay.
Yeah, it's hard to comprehend a lot of times. Watching him play football and then trying to comprehend him being the Bills quarterback is just a whole other thing to it. But I can't imagine that's why it's so wild hearing it from other fans fan bases, like friends that are fans of other teams and everything. They're just like terrified of the dude. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? Like, is it that? Like, I thought for a while we were just like wilding out a little bit, but no,
Right, yeah,
he's terrifying.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. And the funniest part too is like he's such a down to earth guy, and like all these teams and
what did
fans.
Quinton Morris or he quote tweeted it, something about him being like a big Labrador retriever of a quarterback or something. Yeah,
that's such a great comparison.
He's calling Jake Kummerow touchdown Jesus today at the press conference.
Oh, like that's got to be one of the best nicknames too. Touchdown.
That was a great nickname.
Yeah, love that.
That's a great nickname. All right, we got Thursday night football starting up here from just a little west of you, just a little east of me in Cleveland, Ohio, hosting the Steelers. The last time they played on Thursday night football, Myles Garrett literally assaulted a man on a football field.
I totally forgot about that. That's incredible.
It was in Cleveland too. I was at school then too. So I literally walked into a bar that Thursday night that was half like Browns fans, half Steelers fans, and we walked in as dude was like getting into a fight. Like we walked to this upstairs bar, and then all of a sudden we see like Myles Garrett chasing after Mason Rudolph. Like, what is happening?
If Myles Garrett's on the field swinging helmets, you can only imagine what Browns and Steelers fans in a bar are swinging at each other.
There's gonna be some great stadium video content out of tonight's game in Cleveland.
Totally.
Especially because they just came off losing one of the worst collapses I can remember in NFL football game, being up by 14 points late, 2 minutes left in a game and losing to it's the Jets too. Like
to a team that like you don't want that to be part of the sentence that you just uttered.
We're back.
Oh, sheesh. I thought that was me.
No, my Wi-Fi just tried to connect to another Wi-Fi randomly. Just popped up Xfinity Wi-Fi on my computer. I'm like, this isn't my Wi-Fi.
No, slow down. What
are we doing here?
Yeah, seriously.
I was asking you, I don't even remember, to be honest.
Oh, I was saying one of the worst collapses on a football team, on a football field to a football team. You never want to hear that sentence and then hear to the Jets as the second part of the sentence. It's just salt in the wound.
It's hilarious, honestly. Yes. You know what's funny is I was thinking, like, I looking at the schedule, I don't know, even just before last week, just like before the season, everything else, knowing that Browns Jets was week 2, there was always an inkling in my head, like, that is just such a gross game. Like, like that game has to be just like something ridiculous because those two teams in the state they're in right now, there's just too much chaos. And the Browns did not fail to come through. The Jets really didn't do anything. The Jets played about to what I expected they would do, and then they were just handed the best comeback they could possibly have. Like the Jets, if they would have just lost 31-17, I feel like we all would have been like, oh yeah, that sounds about right. Like they were competed for a little bit and then the Browns pulled away at home. Yeah, sure. And that's what should have happened.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
Yeah.
And the Steelers, Mitchell he hasn't been it so far, unfortunately. Hasn't been great.
No, I think I'm interested though that fans are writing him off out of the situation already. Do you really think it's time to throw
part of it is Steelers fans love Kenny Pickett. Mitchell was fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
Before the season even started. Once he was named starter, but they had Kenny Pickett, it's just a ticking time bomb with that guy. I mean, he's literally like he's never going to leave Pittsburgh. Even when he leaves Pittsburgh, like he's going to come back and be like some TV guy for his next 30 years of his life.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett's a paid man.
Right. Do you think it's time though?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So even like an interception at halftime tonight, you think there's a chance we see Kenny Pickett in the game?
I could see it tonight. If it goes really bad in like the first half, who I think that was, speaking of Browns Jets, this was a couple years ago, but the first game Baker came into,
Yeah.
Because it was a Thursday night game just like tonight, and Tyrod looked like shit and then got hurt, and then all of a sudden Baker was in there and they came back on the Jets.
And that was the first win in like forever.
That was the Bud Light, the beer fridges. Remember the
shit.
Remember the beer fridges? Yeah.
I forgot all about that aspect of that game. Wow. Oh, how times have changed.
So I could definitely see that with the Steelers. Like I could see where like Mitchell throws 2 picks in like the first quarter, and they're just like, we're not doing this tonight.
Maybe like tweaks his ankle, like not hoping for that, but yeah, I think it has to be a bit more than just like bad to say, all right, we're gonna.
I think he was 19 of 30 for like 170 yards last week and a couple picks. So it's just they got good receiver. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think is going to actually happen in the game?
After that Browns Jets display, man, it's tough to say, but I think the Browns being 3.5 point favorites here is a bit generous, to be honest. I still think the end of the day, they're the Cleveland.
I actually think I have that wrong. I think they're 4.5 point favorites.
Oh, geez, yeah. I mean, I'd be hammering the Steelers. Watch me look like an absolute fool.
Yeah, it's up to 4.5 now.
Watch me now saying that, just like bite my tongue, look like an absolute fool. But I'd be hammering the Steelers in this match just on the points. I could see the Browns picking up a win, like squeezing by, especially if Pickett does get in the game, like a little bit inexperienced. They take advantage of that. But the Browns are at home, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe that's why there's a little bit of a contributing factor. I like the Steelers.
You could think though, but like they're both 1-1. Like I feel like this is a 3 point.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's
2.5.
It's a field goal game. If you were making the spread, if I had to at least, it'd be a 1.5, 2.5 spread.
Faith in Mitchell.
That's where you make your money. I mean, it's not that I don't have faith in him, but
well, you're picking him. I'm saying that's what the line's at this point.
Yeah, no, exactly. They're
hating on Mitchell, but you do have to convince yourself that if you are betting on it, you're like, all right, Mitchell Trubisky on Thursday Night Football on the road, and then that's a tough sentence to feel good about.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. No, I got.
I'm picking the Steelers too.
Okay, well, there we go.
I'm picking them to cover. I'd pick the Browns to win though. I think that the Browns are going to win close. Okay, I don't see them.
I love those kind of picks. Steelers.
That's what I did last week too. I said KC's going to win, but the Chargers are going to cover. Thursday night is always a gross game, no matter what. Even they've gotten better the last couple of years, I think, and that because they just put better quality. This is not a good quality Thursday night game. No. This is going to be an ugly Thursday night game. Am I going to watch every second of it? Yes, most likely. But
yes. May I have already placed some wagers on it? Yeah, of course. But
I was just going to get into that. I'm not actually betting on this game, but I do have Najee Harris and Nick Chubb to each run over 50 yards and score a touchdown. I'm just hoping for some Big Ten football out there.
So all of those put together?
Yes.
Wow.
All of those put together. It's plus 654, I think. I just put $10 on it.
I like that.
It's my free bet, my no sweat up to $10 on FanDuel. So shout out.
I got a little profit boost on a touchdown score, so I had to take Najee. I mean, I know it's the popular choice, but for good reason, I think that is the source of their offense tonight for the most part. So
that's going to be the only thing that worried. Like, those guys are the most likely to score by far. But how often are these teams going to be 30 yards and in to be ready to score on a rushing touchdown? Hopefully they break one. Chubb is more likely to break one, I feel like, than Najee is.
I agree. Yeah,
but I don't know. Mitchell Trubisky, though, just so you know, from nearby Medina, Ohio to Cleveland. This is a homecoming for Mitchell.
So this is like a homecoming.
It is. He played high school football about 10 minutes from Cleveland, downtown Cleveland.
All right, change my pick. Reverse the line. Steelers minus 4.5.
Mitchell revenge game. You never know.
Yeah, Mitch.
I always thought that Mitchell would be that's who the Browns would bring in this year until they made the Deshaun trade. I was like, they're just going to bring in Mitchell, the hometown kid. Why not? And then he ended up with the Steelers.
The Browns did what only the Browns could do.
this is why they deserve, the Browns deserve all the pain and suffering they get this year. And maybe it's tonight against Mitchell. It would be my one very good friend who is a Browns fan is there tonight and said that he might cry grown man tears if they lose tonight. So that's the psyche of Browns fans at the moment.
Wow.
He was also there last Sunday.
Oh.
These are the 2 games he had tickets for to start.
And he didn't cry grown man tears already.
I think he was close.
Okay, yeah.
Well, because I was behind on Red Zone, and so I was like texting as I was reacting, and I was like, he's like, bro, he literally like he sent us the text that they lost like 2 minutes ahead of time, and I was just waiting to see like Garrett Wilson get in the end zone.
You're just waiting to see shit hit the fan.
Yeah,
unreal.
So it's not ideal, but that means it's going to be full tilt in there. That place is going to be nuts tonight.
Yeah, I mean the dog pound's going to be rocking one way or the other, dude.
One way or the other. There's a lot of Steelers fans there. There's a lot of Steelers fans in that building for sure.
And that's the beauty of like the Yinzes versus the Ohio games, you know?
Oh yeah. Pennsylvania versus Ohio. There's nothing like it.
Yeah,
there's nothing like it.
It's a different form of it's beauty in its own form.
It is beauty. I would say that.
I would see how I struggled to put that out though.
Yeah.
Beauty, because like
you can't describe it.
And then you're like, no, yeah, it's a form of beauty, but
yeah.
It's not the prettiest, but it's a form of beauty.
Well, I wish both these teams could lose tonight. Actually, that's what I would hope happen. But I'll settle for, I guess settle for the Browns too. And the Browns are going to win like 16-13. That's what's going to happen.
Oh man, what a game! Thursday night football,
electric.
Yeah.
See, I'm a sucker for like I've always watched the Big Ten mostly, loved it. So like I'm just buy into the 10-6 games. Like give me all the punts. Give me the linebacker talk all night. Like that's what we're getting tonight. We're gonna hear a lot about JOK. I can't remember his full name, and I don't even know who the Steelers linebackers are going into this game. To be honest, I know that they were banged up. I was trying to think of everybody they got at the moment, but they're showing their offense on the screen right now. How do you feel about Amazon Prime last week? You gonna watch the all 22?
Is it on Prime again tonight?
Yeah, that's on Prime for the next 11 years, buddy.
Every Thursday?
Every Thursday.
11 years?
11.
Dog.
Yeah, 11. It's 11-year contract.
I mean, I think I'm not like I have it, so like I'm not like upset, but like I think it's unfair as hell. But I mean, if you want to reap in Amazon money, you want to give Bezos more money than he already has, sure, I guess. But like, what did take me aback was how impressed people were with the broadcast. I was like, really? It's not.
I feel like they were just like
great.
I feel like people were just impressed that it was like a professional broadcast.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
As if like Amazon doesn't have endless resources and didn't hire like top tier talent like Amazon has the best cameraman in the business, paying them absurd amount of money to do that, more money than any cameraman is probably making for any other sports broadcast. Because they're just like, we want the best for this.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's what I think it was.
It's like I was seeing all this praise, and I was like, "What? Am I
missing?" You got to watch the all 22 for a little bit, though. It is nice.
Okay,
it is nice.
What's good with that?
You just click down, and there's like options for the different feeds or whatever, and they just have a camera that's like the all 22 camera, and they have like they show the routes on the field and shows you like what players are like in what positions and stuff, and they got stats on the side a little bit, like a little banner.
Oh, maybe that is what I was missing.
I didn't know until the second half, and then I watched the whole second half on it and was like, oh yeah, I'll watch this every week. Because you can see everything develop. Like you're not just watching the quarterback drop anymore. Like you're watching all the routes happen as they're going, which tonight is not going to matter as much as it was for Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. But
right. I was going to say, like, tonight I got to take it with a grain of salt, because it might be the night that I try it and I'm like, this isn't even that dope.
Last night they had that last Herbert touchdown that was just like a dime, like on the money. It was like a behind camera shot, so you literally just saw like that thing right on a rope. It's like one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a football game. I don't forget from from Joby Brissett tonight. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of ropes tonight. We'll see.
No. All right, let's get out of here, Slick. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you to our sponsors, Outlet Liquor, Fans of Buffalo, Picasso's Pizza. I'm assuming we'll be back here early on Sunday, which is weird to say because we haven't had a game show on Sunday this year. We'll have a game show Sunday. So stay locked here. Dolphins week, always fun, but just another one on the schedule. That's what we came up with. Just another one on the schedule. We'll handle it out.
One at a time, baby. Humble and hungry.
Humble and hungry. I do like that. I do like the humble and hungry. All right, I'm buying time to play the Outlet Liquor ad here, and then we're gonna get out of here.
Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save.